Hello everybody, welcome to tonight's workshop, which is a workshop for all students and adult learners, graduate students, and folks in transition. If you're transition to, I open this up to a lot of students and graduate students and alumni. So welcome. We have a special guest speaker tonight. His name is Chazin. And Ethan, I have a 3-page bio on Ethan. He's done a lot of stuff. But he spent 20 years in corporate America in marketing and sales. From his experience, he's actually giving you advice on career transition and creating a plan. And so he's a motivational speaker. He's author of the book Bulletproof Your Career in These Turbulent Times. So I saw his PowerPoint. It's excellent. I think you're going to get something out of it wherever you are in your career planning process. So he leads teams in terms of industry consulting, Fortune 500 clients. He's also the executive recruiter and career coach. He's worked with social branding, internet marketing, business communications, and a guest faculty lecturer at NYU Polytechnic. Stephen St. Peter's, he's our own St. Peter's adjunct lecturer in marketing in the MBA program. So he's done organizations for the community on career transition, and he's founder and president of the Chazin Group, which actually is his own company, career consulting company. So he promotes professional development, strategic planning for many individuals, executives. So he has an interesting workshop. Give your attention to Ethan Chazin. And one housekeeping thing before we begin. There are sandwiches. If you haven't had dinner, this is dinner for tonight, so hopefully you can help yourself. If you didn't sign in, please sign in. Also, at the end of the workshop, I'd like your feedback on the workshop and how this helped you, okay? How this helps you in your career planning. And then just give them to me after the workshop. So without further ado, I want to introduce Ethan Chazin on this wonderful workshop on career planning and how to create a plan, a career plan for you. Ethan, take it away.
I gotta be me. Let me be me. Let me be me, Enzo. Well, so guys, holy crap, why do you look so despondent? Today's the first day of the next chapter of an amazing career. One of the things that Enzo did not mention, excuse me, lady in the beautiful lime scarf in the back, can you hear me?
I can.
How you doing?
I'm well.
All right, I'm awesome. That was my unofficial sound check. One of the things Enzo did not say, just so that we're all clear, I'm not here for the money. I'm an adjunct professor. I'm here because I live in a house with women. So if there's any man in this room who is the only man in a house with women, you'll know this is the only way that I can get a word in edgewise and have people look at me with love and fondness from the bottom of the depths of their soul. So, Sean, we're good?
Yes, we're good.
We're ready to rock and roll? Awesome. So my understanding in terms of the logistics of tonight is this. We have from between now and 6 o'clock for me to kind of share 20, almost 30 years of experience with you, for you to take away things that are immediately actionable. If you're looking for theoretical discourse, you came to the wrong place. This is the kind of stuff that you can take with you and start applying pieces or in its entirety, literally tomorrow morning in your job search or your career search or career transition. So having said that, very quickly, I want to walk through what the agenda is for this evening, give you kind of an overview holistically of what road we're going to go down, and then at the very end is when we do the Q&A. So please, 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 if you have any questions, write them down. And please ask. There are no stupid questions. In fact, this topic is incredibly sensitive to all of us because we all have gone through this and we know what pain we felt. So please write down questions, share them at the end when we're finishing up around 6 with the formal presentation. Also, if you're one of those people like me who, believe it or not, are introverted and you don't feel comfortable having a conversation in this setting, please feel free to take my business card. My contact details are on there. And the other thing, Enzo, is if anybody liked this presentation, I'd be happy if anybody here wanted the PowerPoint, but obviously it's up to you. So thank you for having me come out again. As Enzo said, I'm a professor. I teach in the Graduate School of Business, but my road has been a little bit interesting just to get here. So I'll share that with you in a minute. But just to give you a high level of what we're going to talk about tonight, I want to get started with this concept of today's job market is fundamentally different than at any point in our history, and I've been in it for about 35 years. So I'm going to walk you through what's fundamentally different about looking for a job today or finding a new career. Actually, people have come up to me already tonight and said, I have my resume, I have my cover letter if you'd like to look for it, and look it over. Hell to the no, to quote my high school daughter. Hell to the no. That comes last. So we're going to talk at the beginning around how you structure this, and it starts with the heaviest lifting you're going to do. Has nothing to do with writing a resume. That kind of stuff should come easily out of all the heavy lifting you're going to do, which is beginning with the talk about branding yourself. It really is a new day in America in terms of looking for jobs. And I'm going to throw something at you that you may not feel comfortable with. That's okay, I get paid regardless for tonight. But I'm going to say something that's going to sound a little bit odd. You don't look for jobs. You don't apply for jobs. You let those people come to you once you've done some other things that I'm going to talk about tonight. Is anybody just pathologically or culturally uncomfortable with the notion of, what do you mean? I must send out job posting replies. I must. I do it every day. I do thousands of them. I never get a response, but that's how I job search. Because that's a new paradigm that we need for today's new job market. So I'm going to talk about that. And by the way, everything I say tonight is based on what I went through myself, and I'll share that with you in a second. Then we're going to move into a three-step process, and you may or may not be familiar or comfortable with any of this piece. This piece is, you're going to learn the mechanics of writing a personal mission statement, or if you've done this already, you're going to fine-tune your existing personal mission statement. And by the way, this is a sequential process. These three steps must be done in the appropriate order. You're going to write a personal mission statement, and once you're done with that, you're going to go into your positioning statement, and then here comes the really powerful one. Now we're cooking with butter, Akash. Then you're going to do the proposition statement. And that is the sales pitch. That means that you'll never need to write a resume or cover letter again. I hope you're still with me on this, because this is, in all my years of doing this for myself and the 15,000 people I've spoken to and coached, this is the only way to find your dream job. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about your 40-year plan. And look, the average American now will be forced to work into his late 70s. So having a 40 or 30 or whatever your age is now, having a longer view job search plan is going to be critical. I want to talk about a 2-page document I've created working for myself in terms of job searches, and I use with my clients. It's called the Job Search Marketing Plan. It's a 2-page document in Microsoft Word, and I'll walk through what that looks like. I always, when I do these talks, talk about the power of transferable skills. The things you may not even realize about yourself make you fundamentally unique and invaluable and memorable. And I'll tell you why those 3 words are critical. So before we begin, just long story short, a little bit about myself to fill in some of the pieces that Enzo was so kind to share with you. I spent 20 plus years in corporate America. I got my degree in advertising in California, finished up, came back to New York City where I'm from in 1990, started working in the advertising industry, was laid off immediately. When you lose an account in an ad agency, what happens? They fire the whole account team. Unless you're sleeping with somebody or have some really good dirt on somebody else. So that begat a career of 23 years in corporate America being downsized, right-sized, re-engineered, outsourced, offshore. There's a new one. Check this out. Those HR people, Sean, they call it RIFT. Have you heard that one? Reduction in force. Yeah. Are you in HR? Yeah.
No.
Okay. We'll talk later. So I wake up, the last time this happens to me in a cold sweat in October 2008, I was on the management team at Time Warner Cable, scumbags. I was in the city, Manhattan, and I get laid off, and I wake up in cold sweats one night in October of 2008. And I wake up my wife, Sonia, who's borderline narcoleptic. I have no issues waking her up. She'll go right back to sleep. We went to high school together. We've known each other for 35 years. So I wake her up and I say, honey, 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 I know what I want to do. I want to spend the rest of my career helping as many people as I can find at any point in their careers, whether in their 20s or 60s, I'm paraphrasing because she had ADHD when she sleeps. So I said, I want to help as many people as I can find their dream job. My wife turns over to me, eyes open, and she says, it took you long enough. My better half and my attorney said yes, so I started the Chazin group. And so this is what I do. I help other people down this road. Get ready. I'm going to fly at the speed of 28 years of experience in, about 33 minutes. So whatever you can take away from tonight, that's great. If you want the PowerPoints to kind of go back and reference, that's fine. But this is a high-octane audience. There's no slowness here. We're going to go really quickly tonight. So the first piece of this is branding. You may or may not believe that you are a brand. If you don't believe that, okay, please reserve judgment and let me try to convince you. But every person in this room is a brand. You are a brand in terms of if you think about what a brand means. So Tiffany, Starbucks, Harley Davidson, Macy's, they're all brands, but we also are brands. And the branding that you establish for yourself will set you apart if you are looking to get into an organization where 5 or 500 or 5,000 people have applied before you. It doesn't matter, because you need to think about as a brand, how do you set yourself apart? But when you talk about what's a brand, as an individual, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. We all know what great brands are as far as organizations. You may have products that you buy on a regular basis, but as you a brand, you got to ask yourself, what does that mean? And what it means is, fundamentally, a brand is a promise that you're going to deliver 3 things to every organization that you ever apply to, that ever interviews you, that you ever decide they're lucky enough to have me and I'm going to pursue them. Memorable. When you engage that HR manager or recruiter or that organization, or you meet that person at that networking event, does she remember you? Are you memorable? Unique. You're all unique. I'm unique. Everything that's about you is like your thumb, a fingerprint. Nobody else has the collection of background and experiences that you do. But the extent that you convey this as a brand determines how successful you are, shown at this thing called job searching. The last is invaluable. Are you what's called a Me Too product? Meaning, ooh, I do that too. Or are you somebody who fundamentally, when people are meeting you, they go, oh my God, girlfriend, we have to sit down and talk. How you doing? That's what a brand is all about. So question, it's a rhetorical, which means I'm not going to go around the room, lady in the beautiful lime green scarf. What's your name? Anna. Diana. There's like a Michael Jackson song in the back of my head. Okay, Diana. So everybody in this room is fundamentally unique and valuable, memorable. But my question is for each of you to ask yourselves, what's my brand? What you think of yourself, by the way, this is Psychology 101, is different than how other people perceive you. When we look in the mirror, we see things. Guess what? Those are warped. Those are skewed because it's how we see ourselves. I want to ask you to do something. You can do it now, or you can do it later, but if you don't do any of this, this isn't going to have an impact for you, tonight's talk. Write down quickly a few adjectives that you would use to describe yourself. Friendly, introvert, communicative, analytical, just whatever you can think. Write them down. No brain farting. Just get it down on paper. Don't edit yourself. I see some of you thinking, this is not a room for thinking. Right. So like the wind, Lucinda. Sorry, 3 amigos, Steve Martin. Right. I see some of you writing. Okay, I'm going to stop nudging you. How other people engage your brand will determine how effective or successful you are in a successful career transition. Your homework assignment is to find 2 or 3, ideally 4 or 5, but at a minimum 2 or 3 people who know you well. Family members, siblings, aunts, uncles, parents, don't ask parents. But, sweetie, I love you. You don't need to ask. Anybody else that you can think of who knows you well, peers, bosses, faculty members at St. Peter's. Ask them to provide, ideally you on 4 or 5, a similar list of adjectives to describe you. Compare your list to everybody else. If your list is exactly spot on, that means you are being true to your reputational brand. You're living the kind of messaging you want to convey about yourself. If there's any delta or difference between these people who have known you very well, how they describe you and how you describe yourself, well, if they know you best and there's a little bit of a distance gap, then clearly you have opportunity to think about your branding. There's a famous marketer by the name of Seth Godin, and he wrote a book, The Purple Cow, and it applied to business and industry and to those organizations who understand how to set themselves apart in the hearts and minds of their consumers. But what's your purple cow? How do you set yourself apart? If you think, I'm in a car and I'm driving down a country road and there are grass fields on both sides, and in the pasture, in the cow pasture, are cows on both sides. What do you see as you're driving down the road really quickly? You look to the left. What do you see? Black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white. What do you see on the right? Black, white, black, white, black, white, black. This isn't a racist thing. It's cows. If you want some brown cows, you can have some brown cows. But black, white, black, white. And all of a sudden, you see the purple cow. You're the purple cow in terms of, as a candidate, how you stick out. Listen, has anybody in this room done a job search where you respond to ads, you post job applications online, and you don't get responses? Oh, come on. We all know it happens. You haven't started looking yet? Have you gotten those kind of generic non-responses, or you haven't heard back?
Yeah, so kind of, they'll kind of try and tell me, wait, or go this route, or do this and this and that.
At least you get feedback. At least you get a response. Mazel tov. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's still an iteration of the 20th century insane job search. You're not going to do insanity is the act of performing the same task over and over and expecting a different outcome. Ladies and gentlemen, who said this? Who? Really?
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting the same.
All right. Well, all right, smarty pants. The 100% effort that a person must exert on an effective job search and alternative job approach is extremely rare and has a pronounced positive effect on their career.
You?
Always plant a shill in the room. A plant. Listen, you can work for the rest of your lives, whether it's 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and wake up every day going, oh God, I have to go there. That's fine. It's a paycheck, also called indentured servitude, but that's fine. Or you can think about this being the first day for the rest of your careers, that you actually live in this world where what you love to do and what you're most expert at, when they come together, that could be your goal. So I want to start with the first thing I said before, your personal mission statement. Get ready. We're going to go into this really quickly. The first is, you need to identify what are your current strengths. Be brutally honest. They can be software skills. They can be writing skills, social skills, analytical skills. Write down, when you have a spare moment, all those things that you do exceptionally well. That's on the left side of the brand audit that you're assessing yourself. You put a little plus sign on the top left column. On the right-hand side, you put a little minus sign. That is the things that you have opportunity for improvement. You need to be thinking about this very crystal clear, because if you're not going to work on developing a brand that makes you marketable, then you're going to encounter difficulties and frustration, banging your head against the wall, like Albert Einstein said, when it comes to respecting job search. Identify new career opportunities. You say, how do I know what they are? If I'm doing a career transition, I don't know. We'll get there. Identify organizations and a few industries that seem interesting to you. I'm going to talk about a specific formula that you can apply. Research has shown that there's a specific methodology in job searching and career searching that leads to ultimately the highest degree of success. We'll talk about that. And your work style. So here we go. You will ultimately be miserable, as I was, if in your career you do not think, what are the values that you hold true? What are the ethics? What are the kinds of organizations, as far as their morals, that you would love to work in, based on your values? And one way to do that is to understand in any organization, whether it's IBM, or whether it's Patagonia, whether it's a for-profit, non-profit, even if it's a government agency, there are two kinds of culture. One is what's called the formal culture. The formal culture is aspirational. There's another word for it. It's also bullshit. It's when an organization has its marketing department, and I spent 25 years in marketing, so I'm eminently qualified to smell the bullshit when I see it. I have an MBA in bullshit, I'm marketing. So the formal culture is this. It's what the organization wants you to believe. And by the way, if you ever go on an interview in an organization, have you ever heard of them say, we're like a family?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Run for the hills.
Amen. Like your butt's on fire. Listen, the informal culture is where you want to understand the organizations that you think you may be interested in. The informal organizational culture is how they behave when they don't think anybody's watching. It's what it actually feels like when you're wearing your Harry Potter invisibility cloak and nobody sees you and you're there and you're looking at how they treat one another, how senior executives treat the subordinates, how people talk to or talk down to the janitors, the receptionists. That's the informal culture. So having said that, get ready. There's math involved. I know I have a communications advertising fluff degree, so I have feelings of inadequacy, so I always do math. Everybody brought pencils? Get ready. 18 to 32. Your job search, to maximize its potential effectiveness, should have no more or no less than 18 to 32 organizations at any point in time where you're constantly at various stages of having engagement or interaction with them. But Professor Chazin, where does the number come from? The math is easy. 3 to 4 industries: sports, media, consumer packaged goods, healthcare. Are there any industries that you say, you know what, God bless you, that's interesting, I might want to work there? So 3 to 4 industries and 6, 7, or 8 organizations ideally in each of those. Well, 3 industries, 6, that's 18. 4 industries, 8 each, that's 32. I don't mean to insult you, this is more for my own. I'm number challenged, is what they call it. Here we go. Everybody ready?
Ready.
Jeez Louise. It's like I'm the one who's doing all the talking here. Oh wait, that's what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. All right, fine. I'll do the talking. It's a 3-step process. Again, it has to happen sequentially. This has to be something you do in order. So the starting point is a personal mission statement. Once you get down that declarative 2 to 3 sentence statement, you move on to a positioning statement. Once you get that, then you go to your proposition statement. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you do this in the amount of detail that I'm suggesting, you've written, in effect, the absolute most powerful sales script to use when you call those 18 to 32 organizations with the person you've identified as being the right person for you to talk to. That's your sales script. You will never need to write a resume again. Believe me? Maybe you don't. Maybe you do. That's okay. I gotta work for it. Your personal mission statement sounds like this. It's a client of mine, lost his wife, she left him, lost his adult children, they left him. He was basically a scumbag. He worked in banking and financial services, became a hedge fund manager, made ridiculously lots amount of money and alienated his family because he burned himself out. So after a while of coaching, this is how he wrote his Come to Jesus Midlife Senility personal mission statement. We're going to get there. You may not be at that drastic intervention point, but a personal mission statement is a 2 to 3 sentence declarative statement about what you hold most dear. What are the principles that you choose or you have chosen throughout your life to focus on? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to contribute? What do you want, whether you're in your 20s or 70s or anywhere in between, as far as your lasting legacy? What are the values that you hold most dearly? What do you want to ultimately be? Where does your family fit in to your career? This is the piece I was telling you about before. What are your things that you're really, really good at? And what are the things that you're passionate about? I never thought at the age of 49 I'd be sitting in a classroom at St. Peter's teaching graduate school. My father was one of those things, a tenured professor at Fordham. And he said to me in my 20s, you should go into teaching. Teaching? But when I decided to leave corporate America, and I thought about the things that I was most passionate about, it was teaching people how to find their ideal jobs. That was something I knew I should be doing anyway, because all my friends and family used to come to me and ask for advice. What's your passion? Not a job title. It's not something on a business card. It's not your past job titles. It's this piece. If you don't focus on this, you will be miserable. And the question is, if you're in your 60s or 70s, you're not going to be miserable that long. That's fine. But what if you're in your 20s or 30s? Go with what you love. You'll never work another day in your life. So, who are you? It's not an existential question from an Eastern philosophical meditative standpoint. If you've ever done a personality testing, it's helpful, it's not mandatory, but it will help you understand where you fit in nicely. Are you an introvert, an extrovert? Are you judging? Are you sensing? What kind of cultures or environments do you really, really enjoy and are most comfortable working in? Match your values through your research when you start investigating those 3 to 4 industries and 5, 6, 7, or 8 organizations, those 18 to 32, you're going to figure out which organizations that you want to work for. If you're interested in banking and financial services and you want to pursue money, you go right ahead and go for Goldman Sachs. If you want an organization that's in banking and financial services and it cares about its people, genuinely, their health and wellness, Pershing, maybe. How do I know that? 25 years of coaching. But you have to do the research to figure this out yourself. You want to match what it is that you find most attractive about your ideal working situation with the actual informal culture of those organizations. This is as easy as it gets. I used to do this for myself. I'm getting a lot of interesting, curious looks. Is this something everybody in this room does? Excellent! The check will be in the mail, yes? Oh wait, you're paying it. Think about this stuff. Prioritize it if you need to. Cherry pick the things that are most important to you, because listen, even in one industry like healthcare, Robert Woods Johnson, different than St. Barnabas, different than Jersey City Medical Center, different than Blue Cross Blue Shield, different than Matheny Medical, different than Kessler. You get my point. In any industry, the organizations who you could work for are fundamentally different. Keep asking yourself, what's really important, what's not so important? You want to have a checklist of the things that are most valuable to you. That's great, Ethan, but I really just came to St. Peter's tonight to find a job. Is anybody on the fence still? When is he going to talk about resumes? This is really not what Can I get a sandwich and go? Okay. Why do you do this thing called the personal mission statement? Don't take my word for it. Stephen Covey, one of the most revered and respected people who talked about organizational efficiency, effectiveness, and by association career, said, crafting a personal mission statement, your own personal mission statement, is connecting with your purpose and the profound satisfaction that comes from fulfilling it. If you're going to work one day, if you had one shot, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted. Eminem, come on people, what is it that you see as your calling? I'm calling you out. If you wanted a job, you should have never come here tonight. If you want a career that fulfills everything that's important to you, start thinking. You can, by the way, get a next job, and in parallel, while you're getting that miserable, god-awful, I have to wake up every day, 5 days a week, 40 hours, 45. You can do that next. Sean, you can do that. And then the next one you can plan to be fulfilling all your things. Michael Goodman, personal mission statements, an articulation of what you're all about and what success. And by the way, success is not monetary. It could be, but success is what fulfills you. So here we go, personal mission statement, 4-step process. Okay, identify what your key successes are. If I sat down with you and I said, tell me, what are 3 or 4 things that you find to be your greatest accomplishments? Those are things you talk about in a job interview. What are your core values? The things that you hold most dear, that are in your moral compass, that you're not willing to compromise. What are the contributions you've made? Do you coach Little League? Do you mentor young children? Do you do reading or teaching math skills to inner city youth? Do you engage in your community? Do you do volunteer work? All this stuff that you do that's not paid is equally things you can talk about when you're talking about careers. Why? Just because it was never something you were paid at doesn't mean that deep down there's a reason why you were doing that on the side. That's the stuff that you did that actually fulfilled you while you had that obnoxiously, arrogantly overrated thing called the day job. Here's some ideas to get you started on a personal mission statement. It's a laundry list. I'm just going to go quickly past it. But this is what it sounds like. Let me read this. Let me come out with the Wizard of Oz. When you're writing yours, right? When you're writing your mission statement, everybody, when you're writing your mission statement, don't be a suck-up. I thought you were going to start writing it. When you take that pen in your frickin' hand, and you go and you write down on a piece of paper your personal mission statement, you didn't know there was going to be work involved tonight, right? Mine, meaning your personal mission statement, is to, and then you list what you want to achieve, what you want to become. I don't see everybody writing mine. So that, and the reasons why this is important to you. I will do this by the behaviors that you need to accomplish. There you go, Mazel Tov. Take 1 to 2 minutes, write it down. I'm here all night, tip your waiters, try the veal. Keep going, write it down. At least come away tonight with a 1 or 2 sentence statement. I repeat, your personal mission statement sounds a little like this. My personal mission statement is to, and then list what you want to accomplish. It can be 1 or more things, so that the reasons why you want to accomplish this, why it's important to you, and then I will do this by. You will walk out tonight with a personal mission statement, if nothing else. These are just some adjectives that are highlighted just to give you a sense of action words or things that you can use to fill in to your personal mission statement. Okay, you're done. You've written your personal mission statement. That is your core job search methodology. Every time you're struggling with a job search in terms of where you should go next, go back, read your personal mission statement. If it's well written, it will give you your own counsel or coaching as to, am I on track, am I off track with what I hold near and dear. Once you do that, step 2 is a position statement. It sounds like this, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you're talking to a recruiter or on an interview. Based on my background, experience, etc., meaning transferable skills, which we're going to talk about, I'm in an ideal position to help your organization, those 18 to 32. It's a positioning statement about how you will add value. What does that sound like? You're featuring your features and benefits. The core competency, those buckets of 4 or 5 things that you do really well, that's part of your positioning statement. Again, success stories, I always get back to that. What certifications, like a master's degree, or training, or software, or language proficiency, or if you studied or lived abroad, or if you come from a background from a different culture, these are things that are your core competencies. Once you do that, I'll give you an example of what a positioning statement sounds like as you're thinking about writing your own. I'm a qualified accountant looking for a role as a financial director in a high-growth small to mid-sized enterprise. Or another example. My experience includes accounting, general office management, IT management. I've used these with different clients. This will give you an insight into your positioning statement. Not too many. But think about this. It's Avis. You try harder. If you can write your positioning statement effectively, you should be able to write it in a 4 to 6 word summary so that you can position yourself in the hearts and minds of a recruiter or a hiring manager, anybody who may be in a position to help you further your career by branding yourself as unique, invaluable, memorable. This is how we do. Okay, these are some examples that I just grabbed off of some of my clients' work. But growth-oriented chief financial, brand building product manager, strategy and data, short, to the point, ideally 4 or 6 words, maybe 6 to 8 words, but this is a summary of you, how you would position yourself. Oh, by the way, you have now written your lead-in sentence on an introductory call or email to somebody, or the top line of your summary statement of your LinkedIn profile, or the very top of your resume, the thing called the value proposition. You've now written it. Personal mission statement, check. Positioning statement, check. Third step sequentially is your proposition statement. Now you will have the close to your sales script. The close is based on what I hold most dear to myself, my personal mission statement, and based on why I'm in an ideal position to help you, I propose that. You're never going to have to apply for another job again, Sean. Take it off the list. You are now crafting a message that says, I am in a unique position to help your organization. I propose that. I would like to schedule a Kosh, maybe 30 to 40 minutes, to sit with you in the next few weeks and chat about how I might help ABC company or ABC organization. It's a way to apply your background, skills, training, certification, education, work, study, live abroad, all of that stuff that's specifically targeted to the research you've conducted into those 18 to 32 organizations to solve problems. When you're talking to somebody who's in a hiring role and their job, her or his job, is to find people who can provide solutions to the challenges that their organization faces, you want to be the purple cat. Why am I suggesting you do that? You may not have heard of Ethan Chazin, as kick-ass as I am, but you probably have heard of this schmuck, Anthony Robbins. If you don't have a plan for your life, someone else does. Own it, because we consider these minutes golden. Okay, having said that, your 40-year plan, it looks like this, regardless of whether you plan on working for 40 years or some period thereof. Your 40-year plan starts, by the way, you should be writing this down, there's going to be a quiz. There's going to be a quiz. I pass-fail grade on the curve. Nobody's writing it down. At the very top, you put your name. I state your name. I state your name. Your 40 or 30 or 20-year plan. At the very top, you're writing November 7, 2016. It's today. Today is the dawning of a new era. You write down today where you are. One paragraph, no more. Not War and Peace, a huge novel. Keep it simple, silly. Advertising, suggestive copywriting. One paragraph, where are you today? I'm living in Jersey City. I'm currently looking for full-time work. I'm enrolled in a graduate degree program at St. Peter's. Whatever your current circumstances are, you should be able to, if you write it down in one paragraph, pass it off to somebody who knows you well, and they say, oh, that's you. Then, in 5-year increments, November 7th, 2021. So 5 years out, where do you picture yourself? You should be writing this down. And if not tonight, then feel free to ask for the PowerPoint to just jot this down. Your 40-year or 20-year plan is from today out into the future in 5-year increments. So, November 7th, 2026, so out in 10 years, and you get the picture. At 5-year increments from where you are today, where do you see yourself? Why do you think I'd suggest you write this down, this career plan?
So to make sure we're following it?
Yeah. If it's in your head, and this is what makes me crazy. When I work with my clients, or used to when I did this, and I'd say, you should write this down. No, it's in my head. Wrong! If it's not written down, it's just a dream. Because you want to go back periodically and hold yourself accountable. You want to look at where you said you would be. And periodically, if you're in the middle of a career transition right now, ladies and gentlemen, you should be, when you write down where you are today and then where you want to be in 5 years' time, that's the only one you'll really work at right now to start off with. But you would be looking at this ideally once every month or so. until you get to the point where you're engaged in a position where you're working full-time and happy. Then you go back and start to plan out. And again, please write down any questions at the end. Getting back to marketing. The traditional way of doing this is what was called the 5P. Everybody, there's a lot of P going on. Your price. Know what you're worth. You say, well, how would I know how much I could make in an industry if I'm only transitioning now? You've got to do the heavy lifting. You've got to do the research. Talk to people who are in a position in that field, in that industry, which is the position probably is an associate or entry level you might transition into in the New York or Jersey City, Hoboken, whatever, this Hudson County area, what they are being paid. You've got to do the research. Place. You want to know the 3 to 4 industries and all the organizations that represent these professionals and get in the room with them. You want to go where these people who either do the hiring in these industries or work in this industry. And that's why if anybody wants is being here tonight, I'd be happy to do a complimentary audit of your job search and check you out on LinkedIn. Because in LinkedIn, for example, once you have an account, you can join up to 50 groups. Why not join all the groups of people who are working in the fields that you want to work in? So anyway, promotion. That's what today is all about. That's what tonight I'm giving you ammunition for. The next piece, packaging. That's Dress for Success. I'm not going to talk about that. Product. This is where I'm going to go to. If you want to transition to a field that you may not have worked in, but you would love to work in, you need to be seen as a subject matter expert. There's no getting around this one. This may be painful to a few people who may not know where to go to jump into an industry, but you got it. There's no excuse not to. The research is out there on the internet. When I was growing up, we didn't have this. We have to go to the library to do research, but it's out there at your fingertips. So, start out by asking organizations, let's say trade associations, like, Sean and I were talking beforehand, his interest in human resources. I said Society of Human Resource Management. It's a group nationally of about 75,000, 80,000 professionals. They have local chapters. They also have publications. Why not submit articles as a guest writer? If you've researched an industry, if you know about a field, but you're not in the field, like social work, let's say, or healthcare, nursing, hospitality, but you've researched it, why not try to get yourself published? It's a great, great way to build a reputational brand and your portfolio of things you can show. There's other stuff. You should have, if you're in St. Peter's, professors, advisors, people like Enzo and me, you should have a Rolodex of recommendations, referrals, people who have worked with you or you've worked for in prior lives who have written you recommendations. Nobody cares what you have to say about yourself. This is Marketing 101. What's really impressive is when other people can vouch for your brand expertise. Again, those few success stories. Always be promoting yourself. This is building subject matter expertise. Here we go. I did this for myself in my 20s. I've done it in my 30s, my 40s, and now I go into my 50s. You can do it for yourself. It's a personal job search marketing plan. If you need help, I'm happy to again to send this to you, but you can just jot this down. It literally can be as simple as a 2-page document. At the very top is the summary of professional qualifications. Your positioning statement. That should sound familiar. The things that, those 3, 4, 5 things that you have the most skill, experience in: data analysis, bookkeeping, accounting, promotional writing, anything that's a core competency. Here we go. The ideal jobs you would love to do in different functional areas: research, data analysis, market data, and whatever you've researched the type of job titles are within those type of job functions. These can be jobs you've held or jobs you've never, ever, ever had working experience in, but you'd like to transition to. The next page, here's where we get very specific. At the top, key responsibilities that you would love to do in that next job you had, even if, according to Ethan Chazin, you didn't necessarily have a specific job title in mind, but things you knew you wanted to do. You're writing down from those slides before, where would I love to work? Both geographically, sure, but what are the kinds of attributes of, oh my goodness, I would be in nirvana, Hari Om, namaste, I would be exactly where I would want to be. to be happy. Here's your 18 to 32. By the way, I tell you one time something, you're going to see it on 4 or 5 slides, because this is imminently a very manageable and effective process. You should have those 3, 4, even 5 industries. You say, you know what, I'm interested in them. And 6, 7, or 8 organizations. So here we go. At the best of times, and ladies and gentlemen, with all due respect to President Barack Obama, bullshit, 4 or 5% unemployment rate. The unemployment rate is at least 2 times that. You know it, and I know it. Why? Because the Bureau of Labor Statistics can manipulate the data. And every administration have always done that. And in the best of times, no more than 10 to 15% of the jobs are advertised. You don't want to look for a job. That's my recommendation. But if you feel compelled to keep responding to hundreds of jobs that are posted online every week that you never hear back from, I'll challenge you to say, okay, keep doing it that way and try my way and see which works more effectively. So there are some resources if you have to go and do that kind of job posting. But rather than look at different job boards, why not go to job aggregator sites? An aggregator site is a site of websites that feed all the same jobs. Rather than go to Monster, Career Builder, Craigslist, you can go to Indeed or Simply Hire. Research. The great leveler, the great equalizer for people who have a lot of experience in working in industries and not so much is you need to know what are the trends and developments. If you say to me, I'm interested in healthcare, I would first of all say, oh, that's so sweet. Why? Get the hell out. Run, Forrest, run. But if you're interested in healthcare, then I would need to know, do you know what's happening in healthcare? Of course I do. Really? Talk to me, Taco. What's going on in healthcare? You need to know the trends. You need to know what's happening in those 3 to 4 or 5 industries. Again, there's a whole bunch of research available. An informational interview is an oxymoron. It's like jumbo shrimp or military intelligence. It's 2 words that don't go together. It's not really an interview. What it is you're finding somebody. She either works in the industry you want to transition into, or she has the job shown that you're doing, or she knows somebody who does whatever. It's somebody who has a lot of knowledge and experience. You're inviting them out for either a chai latte or a green tea or a coffee, whatever floats your boat, and you're picking their brain, asking them questions. How do they get into the field if they're working in the field? What do they enjoy most or least about their jobs? Basically, you're getting as much information from them so that you can be more well-informed and you have more first-hand data, research, to make more informed decisions about which industries you want to transition into and which to avoid, like the plague. In the 1990s, 1992 to 1995, when the internet became a commercially viable vehicle for the dissemination of information and social media came about in the early 2000s, what did that mean? That meant that every industry completely flipped its model. Too big to fail, Merrill, Lehman, Salmon Smith Barney. Okay, organizations with hundreds of thousands of employees went out of business. Circuit City, etc., Borders. All industries were affected by technology, global competition, a number of other things. You need to be absolutely knowledgeable about what's going on in these industries. So, one thing I learned when I was 15 years old, and it stayed with me, a resume forever. Your resume forever. Go back in time. You should have a version of your resume that literally goes back to when you had a lemonade stand, or you sold Girl Scout cookies when you were a teenager, or when you were 7 or 8 years old. Why would you do that? Why? Here's why. It's not that your resume should only have jobs that you were paid for. It should go back in time to think again. What is it you've ever done throughout your career? All the way back to when you were a wee little child. Interests, hobbies. When were you most passionate? When were you most, I'll use a big word now, engaged? But what were you doing and what did it feel like? And be as specific as possible with that resume that you wrote back all the way in time. One student I teach at NYU Polytechnic, an engineering student, talked about his upbringing in South Korea when he was 7 or 8 years old. And that was one of the most formative things he thought about when he realized the kind of culture he wanted to work in. So, very quickly, you are, as a brand, a set of things that nobody else can emulate. Just because you are unique. As my mother said before she passed away many decades ago, Ethan, you're special. I didn't realize it was condescending, but that's okay. You're all special in your own ways. This makes you fundamentally unique. Here's the difference between a feature and a benefit. I hear this all the time. Let me drop some knowledge for you. There's a hawk, and she's floating a few thousand feet, still in the afternoon sun. And she's hungry, and she's looking for her prey, and she sees a grassy field. Can't really see that, but sees this unfortunate little white field mouse. I'm looking for some fun, looking for some fun. Shh. Leaves the frog, eats the field mouse. That was good. A feature is the frog is green. The benefit is the frog was out in the open, could not have gotten away from that hawk, but lived another day. You all have features or benefits. They're called transferable skills. They're the things that you can take with you from maybe going from one industry to another, being in a graduate program, to getting out and pursuing a particular field you may not have initially thought you'd be interested in, or that you didn't work in before. What do they look like? What do they look like? What do you keep with you? What makes you fundamentally unique? What it looks like is this. Transferable skills are talents you've acquired throughout our lives that can help an employer understand you're unique, invaluable, memorable. And it may be those skills immediately relevant to the job you see. It's not the hiring manager's job to figure out how you can help them. It's your job through your personal mission statement, position statement, proposition statement. Experiences you may have gained. You may not even think, oh, I wasn't paid for these. They're invaluable nonetheless when it comes to those benefits that you bring to an organization, to those skills that you've collected throughout your career. Any skill is transferable. That's not the point. The point is, what are the things that you can do, that you've learned, that are immediately actionable, that you can bring in, and you would mention, this is how I propose helping your organization based on my personal mission statement and my positioning statement. So, I am over, and I want to be sensitive to the time that Enzo is so gracious to give me. I know that I went quickly. I know there may be things that you wanted to cover that didn't. In the interest of please, tonight ask as many questions. I'll hang out as long as possible. Is there anything that's on your mind? Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
You mentioned the formal culture, which is what they put out in the website.
Yes.
So that's totally BS.
It's aspirational. I used a lot of potty words.
I agree with you. But then how do you assess that informal culture that's in hard closed doors?
Researching. Go to online employee rant sites. Somebody goes online like Glassdoor, where they're predisposed to speak negatively. Talk to people who work there or know people who work there. Do research. Go to trade associations in those industries to their events. Go to networking groups. There's a great free website called Meet Up. Yeah, so you go to Meet Up and you start to find people. Honestly, the informal culture, you're only going to find out when you know people who can tell you what it's really like. It's like a secret society. You've got to find people who are on the inside. Yeah, and there was a question in the back. I'd be happy to either Enzo can or I have business cards for later on. Everybody also, please, for Enzo, fill out the evaluation. If you came in late, there should be a sign-in sheet on the clipboard going around. Was there a question in the back?
Yeah, are you teaching
You never told me your name.
Edward,
Edward, talk to me, Tom.
are you teaching any class next trimester?
You like me. You really like me. I actually am teaching a marketing strategy course that's at graduate level. It's one of the 8 or so, I think, core classes. I go back and forth teaching marketing strategy and market research. I'd love to teach other ones. Apparently there's a personal branding class that nobody ever thought would invite me to teach.
Oh, okay.
How you doing? Any other, seriously, any other questions about careers, job searching?
Ethan, can you talk briefly about LinkedIn? Should they have a LinkedIn profile? Does it work? What's your experience?
So, absolutely. Thank you so much, Enzo. I only mentioned in passing Enzo the groups function. Here's what you need to think about. Well, first of all, does anybody have a LinkedIn profile? All right, so we're seeing basically 2 out of 3 or so. Excellent. The things that are most valuable in your LinkedIn profile. First of all, a really nice picture. Like I had one you saw on the board that was like 3 chins ago. You definitely want, it's not like J-date or Christian dating, but you definitely want a nice photo. Excuse me, not Tinder. You want to have certain things. Recommendations is first. You want to, for those of you who know LinkedIn, you can write down 1 or 2 keywords that define the skills you have. If you're thinking about going into a new industry or a new field, you want to go find other people, like you're asking how do you get informal culture, look at other people you know who work in the industry, who you respect. What do their LinkedIn profiles say as far as interest? So how this works is this. Once you go into your LinkedIn profile and put in those 1 or 2 word combinations, HR manager, talent management, HR consultant, Sean, you put in those 1 or 2 words that you enter, and you're connected to somebody. Every time you log into LinkedIn, some of you who use this a lot know this, every time you log in, the people you're connected to, it'll at the top pop up and say, hey, you're connected to Ethan Chazin. I've put down management consultant. Edward, since we're connected, it'll say, do you want to give Ethan an endorsement for management consultant? So you'll see what you put in 1 or 2 keywords, down in your profile, it'll say the number of people who have given you an endorsement, which is basically, yes, you do that. Yes, Ethan does management consulting. So what it'll do, like LinkedIn will say you're connected to 500 people, and then once you get above that, it'll say 500 plus. Those times you put the keywords in, it'll say Ethan or whomever endorsed you. They're allowed to give you up to 99 people. It'll say 99 people. But once it goes over 99, it'll just say 99 plus. The other thing is groups. Groups. You're allowed to join up to 50 groups. There's no better way to monitor what people who are in the fields you want to get into, what they're talking about every day. Go join a few groups. Don't join 50. That's what should have. I did it because I run my own business. Join 2 or 3 at first. And monitor. What will happen is you'll say, I want to join, and then because you're in LinkedIn, they have your email address. The person who's the group moderator will say, hey, Edward wants to join this HR consulting group. Sure, Edward, come on in. The minute you get allowed to join, every time somebody in that group starts a new conversation, you'll get an email alert. So it's recommendations is really important. Joining groups. The words you use. Your LinkedIn profile is searchable. When you go and you do an advanced search, there are about 440 million people on LinkedIn. Why would you not want to have an updated profile? Other thoughts, other questions, anything? Yeah, your name is?
Nathan.
Ethan.
Did you say that?
Nathan. Ethan. Nathan.
Don't say.
Yeah. Talk to me, Nathan.
I'm studying accounting. I want to get to accounting. So,
NJCPA. The New Jersey Society of CPAs. Where do you live? Hudson County?
I look.
All right, they have a county chapter. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
So what kind of? You said
Actually,
you give me.
we would have to go to the stairs, we still have to.
Go talk to people. It's the best advice. Go to accounting organizations. So NJCPA is the statewide organization. They have county chapters. I've spoken to the Monmouth Ocean, the Bergen, and Hudson. NJCPA. The other is as an alternative. And you can go as a graduate or undergraduate, as a student, and say, I just want to visit some of your events as a guest. And if you need, Nathan, I can introduce you to a few people who head up county chapters. AICPA, the American Institute of CPAs, is another organization. Go join organizations where you're interested in. Nothing is more valuable than being in a room with people who do that. Anybody can get on Vistaprint 500 business cards for $9. On the front, if you have a picture of yourself, that's great. If you don't, that's fine. You put, like, I don't want to say job title, but like a description. Accounting professional, bookkeeping. Your contact details, not your mailing address. Your email address, your LinkedIn profile, and maybe your cell phone, your mobile. And on the back, you just say expert or proficient in, and you put 4 or 5 of those bullet points of core competencies. accounting, bookkeeping, financial analysis, whatever. But you go to these events, have a business card. You can even put the St. Peter's logo if you're currently enrolled or an alumni. What are the questions? Hold on, hang on. Is there any other questions? Come on, guys. 28 years of experience. Prime the pump. Go to the well. All right.